investigating the craziest Roblox game stories, like popular game getting abandoned, dying, and much more. So let's break down all these stories, starting with popular games that were abandoned. The year was 2016, and one game has taken over the platform. Thousands of active players, gaining millions of visits at a speed never seen before. If you weren't playing Red Dead Prison at this time, you were missing out. But now in 2025, the game is far from what it was, fully abandoned, last updated in 2021, and it only averaged around 20 players a day. The game was created by Roy Stanford in 2016 and was an instant hit. In the first month, it had over 2 million visits, and by the end of the year, it reached over 85 million visits. And now, over time, the game has almost 300 million visits. So with all the success, why did he abandon it? To understand what happened, I joined in prison police police officer, and the goal is for the prisoners to escape and the police officers to stop them. But with the low player count, no one really took this game seriously anymore. Eventually, I started questioning the players to see why they were still playing.
How come you guys still play this game?
I haven't played this since I was 10 in 2017.
So you're coming back just for nostalgia.
Yeah, I am too.
As you can see, most of the playing games nowadays aren't even playing for fun. They're just playing it for nostalgia since it's a game you used to enjoy. And since it's been abandoned, most people have moved on.
Why do you think this game died? No updates. Do you wish it was never abandoned?
Out of detail. After talking to these players, it's pretty clear players miss this game and are sad that Orange stopped updating it one day and abandoned the project. They even said this was their first time playing the game in years. It doesn't really make sense for a developer to abandon a project this successful out of nowhere. But once you investigate deeper, it all makes sense. Roy Stanford, the developer behind the game, joined Roblox all the way back in 2008. For the first few years he was quiet, but eventually started launching games. One was even being a Cops and Robbers game, which probably inspired Red Dead Prison later on. But there was a problem. Roy Stanford launched game after game, year after year, with not much success. Most of his project was Hiow and gained no attention, but he wasn't ready to give up just yet. He had his first big breakthrough with The Living Dead in 2015, and it would go on to get over 20 million visits. After years, it seemed like he had finally made it, but he was only getting started. In 2016, would change his life forever, because in 2016, he took everything he learned from his past games to create Red Dead Prison, which, as mentioned, exploded, now having almost 300 million visits. But in 2021, Roy Stanford would do one less update and never update it ever again. Here's the thing with Roy Stanford. He always wants more and never seems to be satisfied. As we saw, he had a game go viral and immediately moved on and started creating another. And that's exactly what happened here. Despite Red Dead Prison being a major hit, he just kept on going. His next game was Baker's Valley, which once again was a viral hit, getting over 185 million visits. And the next year he would launch again, but this time it would change everything. Because the next game after that was Fighter, which would go absolutely viral, and become top 50 most visited Roblox game of all time, getting over 2.5 billion visits. So as you can see, this developer was focused on other big projects, and eventually moved on. Not only is Red Dead Prison abandoned, but so are all the other games that I just mentioned. No matter how popular they get, he eventually just moves on and creates something else. Currently, he's working on Rainbow Friends, which is the 26th biggest Roblox game ever made, getting over 4 billion visits. And that too hasn't been updated in a while. We never know what this developer is up to, but what we do know is that they're not afraid to abandon games, even if they have billions of visits. Because while this story was crazy though, we're only crazy as the video goes on. Psycho 2 was released back in 2010 and amassed almost 10 million visits. However, the last update was almost 6 years ago, and in this case, the owner is also missing from the platform, not being active in a few months. Let's play and find out what happened. Right away when I joined the release battle, the game was completely dead. I was the only person playing, and in order for the game to start, you need at least 4 players, so even if I wanted to play, I can't. This is probably why the community for this game is gone. Even if you want to play support the game, you're supposed to abandon it since there's just no one to play with. So I actually read out the game right to let some players. The game is pretty simple. One player is a psycho, and everyone's job to survive and escape before the psycho kills you. Prison found out of psycho, and for some reason, I just couldn't catch anyone. I didn't even see a player. However, I wish they'd actually end up winning the round. But the reason I won is because everyone got bored and just left. This game is in a pretty bad state, so let's investigate how I got to this point. Playable Bike, the developer, joined Roblox all the way back in 2009. They created a few games, but their big breakthrough was Psycho 2. The game originally was called Psycho 1, and then updated to Psycho 2 later. They would continue working on this game over the next few years, while they were getting millions of visits. And then in 2017, things had slowed down, but for good reason. Because in 2017, they restarted the game called Test. However, by this point, the game was 7 years old. It was already becoming forgotten. So they released a game as well, and that too had no active players and seems to be a timer. As for the reason why, this is pretty time. The game is now over 15 years old. You can imagine why after that long, someone just moved on. Also, with their account not being active, it just shows they probably just moved on in life and are focused on other things. A pretty good ending, but the same can be said for the next game. OP Ninja Simulator was created in 2019 and blew up on launch. Just after a few months, the game was approaching 10 million visits and had thousands of active players. It was growing fast too, only getting bigger over time, now having over 115 million visits. However, it hasn't had proper updates since 2020. Unlike most abandoned games, though, the game still has a passionate community, and averages 151 players every day. But why would someone abandon a game that got this popular so fast? Well, let's try to see what the remaining community has to say. I first started talking to this person about Play immediately. I then asked the overall account to see what everyone has to say.
How come you guys still play this game after it was abandoned?
I don't know. I also don't know.
I don't know.
So overall, most people in the server don't really know this called why they start playing. But that last answer kind of seems to answer it all. As you can see by the gameplay, it's basically such a game. You keep clicking to get stronger and keep working on upgrades. Everyone left in this game as people who spend so much time on this game. They're all at a point where it seems hard to let go. They invested so much time, you might as well keep playing. And like you mentioned, try getting on the leaderboard. Even though the owner was ready to move on, a lot of players weren't. I didn't talk to this other player who kind of proved my point.
How come you never quit this game after it stopped updating? Just curious.
I don't know.
Is it because you already spent so much time on it?
Oh yeah, bro.
How long did you play before it stopped updating?
I don't know.
Months?
100,000.
Now, I think this player was a bit confused because 100,000 months is 8,233 years, but he had millions of power in the game, so he was really playing for a while. Let's dig deeper to see why this dev just left this game behind. The first thing is the developer behind this game, who joined back in 2016. For the first few years, he just launched a bunch of random games that didn't really take off. However, 2019 is where things started returning. So that's when they launched Open Ninja Simulator, a game that go absolutely viral, but just less than a year later in 2020, the Philippines made a group announcement saying that the game would no longer be updated ever again. No proper explanation, but for some reason they decided it was over. Around this time, the game was still doing good, getting thousands of players and millions of visits. It seems to still be some updates beyond this point though, but even with that, it's been almost 2 years since the game has been touched. There seems to be no reason as to why he just abandoned the game, but if you look deeper, the answer seems to be obvious. Around the same time, we created Lifting Simulator, which ended up becoming even more successful than Ninja Simulator, sitting at over 560 million visits. It seems to keep abandoning the project to focus on the more popular game. This game's also been updated recently and it's still being worked on. Weirdly enough though, the Ghost Game is also not that actual on mobile, not being online channel for months now. Potentially is also just getting bored of development and moving on. Still a pretty crazy ending, but our next is even crazier. Twisted Murder was created in 2014 and was the developer's paymaster, first big breakthrough on Roblox. Twisted Murder was launched at a time where murder games were already popular, but with the having some unique elements, it was set up for success. The game exploded online, after 1 year gaining almost 80 million visits, and over time they're going to gain over 93 million visits. But the game hasn't been updated since 2018, almost 7 years ago, leaving it to completely die out, most of the time having zero active players. Let's play and see what went wrong. Obviously at first, like I mentioned, it was hard to find players since the game was super dead. So I just kept refreshing the game all day, waiting for someone to join, and finally, it happened.
How come you still play this game?
I used to play it.
So you're coming back for nostalgia.
I'm trying to see if someone will join, so we can start.
As you can see, most of the last playing game is coming back from nostalgia. However, you can't even properly play since you need 4 players to start the game. And after talking some more to his players, he left leaving me alone yet again. But later tonight, we didn't actually have anyone out here playing, so I hopped in to see what others have to say.
Why do you still play this game after it's done? Just for the fun. I used to play a lot, to be honest. Are you sad it got abandoned?
Not yet, but it's alright. Everything must come to an end one day.
A wise player with 2 words, everything must come to an end one day.
Do you still try and play, or is it too dead?
I sometimes still try and play, but it's too dead mostly.
I check it often, honestly.
So most of the players are coming back from nostalgia, since this is a game you used to play. But most of the time, there's not enough players to even play. It seems like a lot of them join pretty often, hoping more people join, but you have to get lucky.
How long did you play before it got abandoned?
Honestly, I probably have over 100 hours on this game now.
The more I talk to these people, the more I realize everyone's playing now, has been supporting this game for years, and still play since you have so much good memories associated with it.
Memories are crazy.
You've been playing for years, Hiow.
Yes, this account is from 2016, but I was a guest since 2014.
It's kind of sad if you think about it. A lot of these players have spent so many years and so many memories with this game that it becomes to abandon it, even if the owner does.
Do you guys think there's any chance this game gets an update?
No.
Never.
Let it go away.
LOL. K-Master doesn't care about this anymore.
All the players have also lost their
They watch TV?
It's there. It's there. It's unfortunately not like that. Let's dig deeper though to see how the developers came up with abandoning this game that was loved by millions. As mentioned, this was the first big breakthrough. They continued working on it for the next few years as the game grew bigger and bigger. But after a few years, in late 2017 and early 2018, fans noticed the game was being worked on less and less. The game started slowly dying. Due to the nature of the game, there also isn't much you can add or change. a top 50 most visited Roblox game of all time, seeing over 3.5 billion visits. So,
At Dots, imaginary presidential isn't enough. So they had to order a special delivery. They're really good. Dots, sensational season presents.
When you don't often sleep over the holidays, it matters where you stay. Hilton, where to stay.
And a large copy of sand, mixing some rocks. Freeze to -40 for several days, then soaked in 35 inches of water. Baked at 122 Fahrenheit. Dressed with 661 pounds of cheese. Serve on a plateau.
So what it seems like happened was came after banning their game due to it dying and then probably losing some interest after a few years. And once the other players took off, it wasn't really worth trying to keep the game alive, leaving it abandoned for years. Even though it makes sense to just abandon it, there still is a passionate community who still plays, hoping to relive some of the memories we have. But for the most part, the game remains fully dead. It's a pretty sad ending, but our next game is an even sadder ending. Islands is one of the biggest abandoned games ever because it has over 3.3 billion visits. By November 7th, 2023, Dev announced that they'll never be updating the game ever again, since they're focused on other projects. However, this game still hasn't died out. Due to how popular this game was, it still has average 2 to 3,000 players. It has decreased a lot, but it's still holding up. While else there's left, so I'll hop in to see who's still playing this game and why.
How come you guys never quit after the game was abandoned?
I just like the game too much, LOL. Because it's a good game.
So it seems like most players still love this game since it's been playing for a while. Also, to be fair, Island is a game in which you start on an island and slowly try to upgrade your base and more. There always seems to be more you can do, even if the game isn't being updated. There isn't really a way to complete the game.
The economy will always be a thing.
How long have you guys been playing?
2020.
So once again, most of the people left playing are people who've been supporting the game for years. And as we mentioned, the game is a whole economy now, players making their own shops and such. And that will never go away, as long as it's still a community. Even without updates, it's still a purpose in them playing.
Are you sad after years to see it stop updating?
Really, really sad.
Since the game was so popular, it left thousands of players pretty sad because the game was abandoned. And most players seem to be sad it's over, but are still investing in the game since they've been playing for years. Why would the game this popular get abandoned though? Well, this game was made by the EasyWG Game Studio, and you have another massive game on Roblox being Bed Wars, which is over 10 billion visits, and currently has around 50,000 active players. So they're probably just focusing more on this game. In the announcement, just to mention that
Oh, wait, I have my microphone on still.
So potentially they're working on other games behind the scenes as well. And they didn't think it was worth committing time to Islands anymore. If you thought that was crazy, the next story is even crazier. Covering popular Roblox games that died. Giant Survival has over 255 million visits, but only averages around 50 players a day. It used to average thousands, but it died out. The game was launched in 2019 by Big Games. However, it's actually a part 2 and a recreation of an older game made by Preston during Big Games. And that
Well,
was
hi, guys.
earlier in 2014. The first game was successful, gaining over 50 million visits. So a few years later, we recreated it, essentially being a part 2, and it also found success. So how did this series of successful games die out so bad? To understand what happened, I joined in hoping to see who was still playing and why. The game is pretty simple. One player is selected as a giant, and the other players will try and defeat them. While playing, you also earn money which you can use to upgrade your weapons and such.
How long have you been playing this game?
I'd say around 4 months.
Why do you think it died?
There's not much to do and no updates.
So to the players, the answer seems pretty clear. The game was hyped, but it just never received much updates. Also, if you look at the gameplay, it's simply the same thing over and over again. So with no changes to the game, people seem to have run bored and moved on. Also, apparently, there seems to be no plans to update the game in the future, so it'll probably continue dying out.
Are you sad to see it die out?
Yeah, I enjoyed playing it, but I knew it was going to die without updates.
Do you wish it was still updated, or have you moved on?
I've moved on. Yeah, the game hasn't really sparked my interest.
So as you can see, Sergeant was happy to see the game die out, but he kind of expected it to happen. Since the game isn't being worked on anymore, people get bored and leave. Even people who love the game and have been playing for a while realize this and are trying to lose interest. Let's investigate deeper to see why the developers of this game died out. Preston, the original creator of this game, joined Roblox all the way back in 2011. Right away, he started creating games and was going didn't make a ton. Some did fine, some did bad, and overall he wasn't a massive developer. So for the first 3 years in game after game, we didn't really have much to show for it. But 2014 would change everything, because that's when we would launch the original Giant Survival, which was an instant hit and it would go on to gain over 50 million visits. This was one of his first big breakthroughs after years of trying, so he knew he had to make a part 2. 3 years later, in 2016, followed Giant Survival 2, a more polished version with new features. The game did well, getting over 11 million visits, but it struggled to gain the same success as the first one, and that marked the end of the Giant Survival series. Until out of nowhere in 2019, where it was recreated, and that's the version most people know today. However, Preston by this point in 2019 built an empire with his game studio to play games, and during this period we were naturally launching a ton of games, one of which being another Pet Simulator, which we somehow aren't aware of, is one of the biggest game series in all of Roblox, with the current one having almost 2 billion visits, and the one before that having over 8.8 billion visits. Big Games also had a ton of other active and popular games, but what it seemed like happened was that this one wasn't taken as seriously as the others, and since the others became way more popular, we tried to focus more time on that, prioritizing this game and keeping it going, which is why Giant Travel died out, and now, even passion started letting the game go, we were so sad about it, since we know it probably never will not take ever again. Because we thought this story was crazy though, for only in phases of the for gone. Guess Who was launched in 2020 and has amassed almost 100 million visits, but it only averages around 100 players nowadays, which isn't bad, they used to average thousands. Guess Who is similar games like a Piggy, where a player is a killer and the other player escapes, and when it launched, this kind of game was super high players on launch, but now, it has lost its audience and it's dying out. Unlike some games that die with just being old or the devs abandoning it, Guess Who is still receiving updates, so to see why this game has died out, I joined into question the players still left playing. Most people ignored me since they were busy playing the game, however, it was actually a creating server where a player was open to an interview.
How long have you been playing this game? Maybe 1 year or more. Why do you think it died out? Because they didn't make events or update the map. Are you sad to see it die out? Yeah, I put a lot of money and I played this for years and now it's dead.
What it seems like happened is that, even though the game is still being updated, the updates don't add enough to players still lose interest, and like you mentioned, it seems like core parts of the game like maps don't just change much. So even if there are new elements, most people have lost interest, and it's nothing crazy enough to get them to start playing again. Another interesting thing the player mentioned is the money aspect. It seems like most players left either invested too much time, money, or both to just stop playing. The most casual players have lost interest and moved on, but more dedicated players stayed, even if they're not happy with the state of the game. Other players I talked to share these same ideas.
How long have you been playing the game?
Like 5 years.
Wow, why do you think it died?
Once again, players have been playing for years is saying that updates probably games bad. Even further than just playing WoW, and it gives us a good understanding of why this game is in a rough state.
Really? It will get popular again.
Maybe.
Bye guys. I'm gonna unplug my mic.
and then made it free again. They got super good eventually, and throughout all this, most players lost interest and moved on. And now we're in another new stage of the game where it's free and works fun, but it is being updated to the community is growing once again. Let's bring in and find the facilities of this game now. One way to make a major issue, these setup versus start, and since this game is so bad, even if I want to play, I should. It even says it's hard to play this game, and I play it season part of mine. Another reason why I got in here after Sarah already happened. I like this for waiting a while, sometimes I turn in. We will say something. The two teams in each drive out with the revolvers. The game also covers some game modes, springs, and runs. How can you guys take away the game mode this time? We will restart. The first thing we're looking to is our current further initial episode. I don't know. I like it. How long have you been playing? Since they before yesterday. This is kind of weird. It could be the only people left playing the people who have been playing for a while. If isn't even the first person to say this either. I asked people at Soldier that we only played for a few days. How did you discover this game with its Soldier? Please stop. So, I knew for a time before this was a YouTuber, but since it's not been updated, we probably lose internet for a bit. And by this point, all the other players are down in the game already. Since we've been the last place for a while. Let's investigate deeper to find out what happened. The game was created by Northern Studios, owned by No Area. The founder was then developed all the way back in 2008. Right away, there was a team back in 2008, our pro champions. It's quite motivated to develop and players. This developer is insane, and once you look at his background, you don't pretty clear why he's doing Hiow, and it's basically abandoned. If you look at Northern Studios, we created in our parts robust major games scoring over less than 5 billion visits. The biggest game being outside of Boston game, over 770 million visits. And still very popular. As you can see, we have final projects. Now we begin to focus on ones that are more popular and more active. It's not really good for them to try routing this game. However, we're actually working on sequels to this game. The sequels will couple their first game as Game and War. They're trying to do the same style with a new game to see the score as well. They're really kind of trying to about it. But once again, it seems to be a case of the developer abandoning the project and ending in buyout to this popular successful games. It's pretty long ending though, and very favorable to the design. Because we're talking about retail tycoon. Our games have over 217 million visits, but only average around 50 per day. We used to get thousands of story data every year. The game channel is 10 years old since it launched back in 2015. And the developer of Hiow 125 has been a platform for a while, going back in 2008. This year's third run on a 50 days audience. After a year or so, it was already on over 3 million visits. But this is just a start. And for this final, it grew over even higher. Because 1 year after that, it was over 78 million visits. And it would then go on to get over 200 million visits over time. How they gave this file buyout, so see what the bird has to say. The game isn't probably what you think it is. It's a retail tycoon. Whoever research on their money to expand the launches, the goal is to see it bigger and better over time. But we've been playing for a while. How can I make? Why not? Why did this game die? It's all failure. Other than that, I'm not sure. Things just die out over time. But it's kept a pretty decent following over the years. It's very hard to point. Like some games, not completely bad, and you just get fine through it playing. It started being almost 10 years old now, but it's still good updated. No, not really. It's old, but moved on. It seems like the game also hasn't received much major updates, but still makes people lose interest. Things like these games, once you get far enough, you just don't do anymore. Without many updates, people move on. Factor makes it contributed to this game dying, but if you dig deeper, there's usually another major reason. As mentioned, the game exploded in the first few years, and made it success for a while. This is the benefit they first to is good and game after game. But don't see them as good. All players know when they put the fun. Every day is still a lot of nice players. It was still people losing interest. At this point, the developer of any platform for over 12 years, and the game has spent 5 years on its dying until it dies. But I'm really quite ready to give up. The game is a type of house, and play around in this time chance of this modern tycoon. For the sake of reading the popular game, the new game being retail tycoon 2. This is it. Here's so the developer for everything. Luckily, learning a lot of now. This is also supported, and people always love the concept. All the new elements make the bonus game even more. Currently, almost 380 million visits, and doing very well, and seems to be the developer's main focus now. So what seems happened was, the first game download data is being old as compared to being old, and since having a revival, we have to read new other games. I think we're wondering, but the same thing is like the next game. Because we're talking about the biggest game yet, being Zombie Rush, which is over 694 million visits. But it only averages around 1 million a day. It isn't bad, they used to get thousands. Now it's slowly getting better every year. That's playing investigator too. Zombie Rush is a typical zombie game. You try to find as long as you can, and you start at each round. Plus, with an upgrade, they will play a zombie game. So how do you guys keep this game down? No reason. It doesn't get big upgrades. No. But once again, it seems like a game where the developers only adding enough new content for the free. Are you satisfied? Here. How long will you play? Here. Seems like a lot of players back to people who've already been playing for years, and are just going down to the board. Did you they drop this. And when they do updates, it's pretty small stuff. That's what the owner do things. They don't pass them for like 10 years. And it's the biggest thing they own. It doesn't have the outside new stuff though, because eventually they're going to build on it. Other times are also tiny. It probably takes developers a long time to make major updates. They're probably in a position where we can't update it as much as we hope to. There's probably lots of game forward time. Yeah, if you thought those stories are crazy, next year Roblox games are what's forgotten. Roblox has over 56 million visits, but hasn't been updated since 2023. The game wasn't died out, only averaging around 50 per day. These are average values. Many players have forgotten about Game was on 2020 by the Roblox player group founded by the dead PC Zombie. The game would explode online, bringing over 80 million visits in the first year. At first, on one, it was still bigger and bigger. By the end of 2021, the visits would double to over 20 million. Over time, it reached over 56 million visits. How did the game make viral project die out in its bottom? What is what happened? I don't even think different groups still playing. Thank to see for many players knew what happened to the game. The game itself is pretty simple. There are three gamers with the main concept of a build battle. All players are given a copy of the build it. After some time, everyone votes and whoever gets a high score wins. But you can also just free build or play against your opponents. Some games have even fun in this game. Why do you even think? It's already weird. Most players think each other's like that, but they're recent players. Usually, the guy in dead games only has old players left who have playing through the half of the game build. The more focused the guy though, the more it makes sense. What did you discover? Just found it. On the computer. Yeah, can you play with the game still, or do you just like people? I just kept having fun building, so I like free build. This must be the reason why the game is making forward. Probably forgot about our old players. What really happened is that many stopped playing with the main game mode, but they made a free build game mode, and many new players also built into easier and less friction. This answers some of my questions, but it sure makes me why I was forgotten. First investigated deeper to see why the developers abandoned this project and labeled it college. Those early developers probably first big thanks to that roadblock. They were pretty working on it for a few years, while just playing for weeks and coded. After getting back to the past, we were still working on the game, but it was dying as players and coded. Eventually we got back to the game for coded. Starting from game mode, but the game mode still for instance over mode. So what was it for us? We either try to save the game, or we can move on and try to spend it to do better. This is a big decision because at this point, I was especially to risk hard work. Yeah, strategy next, we did the rest of to focus on new projects. They get a new group and work on streaming games, always grew up and performing pretty well. Doing games have already gotten more belief than build it. But it sort of happened was that we're starting to forget about the game and lose interest. Instead of trying to revive it, we said move on as well, focus on other projects. These projects look bad, but it worked out really well for us. We get more stuff for game time. It's pretty amazing, but the game focus has their next game. The project over 124 million visits, but I think the biggest is all over time. Only after around 5 after players, and last time we had 0. This is developer Hiow. We launched the project all the way back in 2016, 9 years ago. It was pretty shit in an overall iconic game, but every year it's been more forgotten and more dead. And we're now at a point where only 2 people play every day, because it's Italian to reach the average. Let's get into your phone, and here's you know what happens with the game. First of all, the project of roleplay is open environment game. You can get a condo, customize it with a cars, have like an island and so much more. It's like a real simulator. Here's your mini games with a private type. Option, present to all in one game. You can do anything you want. How long have you been playing the game? First time I played it was way back in 2017. It's bored, so I just joined it. I like usually with these forgotten games. Most of it comes back to people who've been playing the game for years. So it's hard for them to just forget about it and let go. It's kind of sad, and the more concentrated part of the conversation got, why do you think it's bad and forgot? Lots of updates, localized work, faster, and many other things. Pretty good point. The title went very hard with new and Italian, and nowadays there are a million locals out there in the culture. Around the time of places, builders, and wonderful, I just think this is pretty neat. I just thought to see it and forgot. A little, but games and robots, and why does these stars become forgotten and lost? One of the first reasons I put, so it's always been possible. But all these players have been fighting for so long. It's only been get forgotten and die out, but we have never participated. Unlike everyone else, we didn't really forget and started going back to real celebrations. Unfortunately, they do not stop me for the win at the time. So how to do that? You do it with skill active. Yeah. Games are fun. This verify game doesn't super active. I was a player and that's kind of fun. Now, the fire Roblox game has been forgotten. After not even having any players at all. This makes it easy for to see why doing in this place. The developers are also buying home players after they play launching a pack game. It's all did pretty well. I'm sure it's not transfer of game pass, so we kept going and counting game after game. We didn't have a super viral game this year, but all these games have fun for a while. We've always noticed we then launched a college in 2016. That knows the things about forever. The game is photo mod, putting the front page being founded after photos. The other people around them drawing body topics, which made the game just so good as photo. Over the next few years, the ever making decisions that they're because the game can buy out. They're making the product here, a more improved version. Instead of mixed reviews, they can ask their product to continue under a new name being Fiber X. And all these weird things to find out now. And always have a price tag being updated as much. After what's forgotten, they found. Nowadays, the developers work in random games and everybody found the game to test as a fiber, and choose a life point and keep providing them for a ride. I can't ending though, that's really even fire. Because we're talking about Bunny Island Impact, a game total of 56 million minutes, for an average story provider and abandoned. Almost no business game anymore. Maybe a developer abandoned this topic of failure too. I couldn't put the time of what happened, but there was no one playing. It was just me alone. Couldn't wait until somebody found it going. Bunny Island Impact is a game in which we work on theme parks with other players, with the goal of making a theme park popular. We have a crazy house and work out for money. How long have you been playing? For this game? Yeah. Almost 10 years out. Well, for them, most of those last people who have been playing this game for a while. In this case, the players are last stage at the beginning. Why did it become forgotten and die out? Because there's a new version of this book. I see. Are you sad this got abandoned? Are you happy again? How come you still play? As I just want to play still. When I'm running. So it seems like the only ones left on are people who have too many good money for the game. And forget about it in my brain. As a fairly interesting new game. So let's dig deeper to see what happened. This is a developer, the photo buddy. He just rolled all their banking powers in it. Maybe 2 years ago. They tried for 60 years, now they keep on for first year. Which is pretty well first time, they were 1 million euros. And if you're able to build Bunny Island, which is everything. that. Deserve robots over fighting hands down. Most of the robots game yet to become pretty fair. One day was heard of how to do international games. We've heard of fair on the fighting simulator. There's over 1.2 billion gibbers. This is a thing why we've not been updating as much. And it also shows a video of a progress. Also, there was a fairly new version of Super Cruise game. That player said it's been so long now. They don't even notice the releases. Overall, the dialogue over time and the game forgotten how to do a lack of new blockers. And instead, the website is predicting to make a new game or return from other projects. My next story is even crazier though. Social Simulator has over 136 billion euros that have been forgotten over time. Average around 50 to 100 pretty bad, but this average thousand. It has been forgotten over time by a ton of players. The developers also don't work on it too. Last year was over a year ago. So I don't think I couldn't see like an answer. Even though it's pretty simple, people can try to earn money. With money you can buy better tools and work just to get better over time. Sometimes you can change this thing. Last 30 minutes. Thank you for serving. It is on that for you. Once again, all new players, which is pretty weird. But it's even weirder because everyone's supposed to do the exact same thing. I'm going to do the same this thing. New player. You robot? Oh dear. You. Time to two games. Are you a new player too? Yeah. I'm just trying to game. I saw the game for 8 minutes. Very typical for that environment game, where it ain't very much like people waiting down for a while. Most of the issues are all new players. Who at the beginning they recommend the second losing audience, but this is game over after a month and it's now kind of old. A lot of other players sleep like that and forgotten about it. But people get up to see the reason why they died in the progress. This is the Spider-Man poetry. It is rolled over back in 2008. Most of the survivor was the first big breakthrough, and that was back in 2017. We didn't know it, but lots of the games changed their lives forever, and it really became viral. By early 2018, just 1 year, the game already had over 80 million users. That's thousands of hours played, and it was still bigger and bigger, nesting at over 136 million users. Every year there were game plus more and more players. It's easy people to get bored over time. This is a group, most of these players playing the hardest not to do anymore, and it seems like there wasn't enough updates for players coming back, and now it seems now can be updated a lot. There are also other players who are better seeing when they're gone, and some of getting a lot of new players who are discovering the game for the first time. It seems like this game is not because of new players playing the same bit and forgetting about it and moving on. However, you can't just put new players to keep the game going. And actually, it even says it clearly, because they're looking at saying how their games are dying. This is open for testing back in August 2024, and eventually reached a season server on October 1st, 2024. This game is soaring popularity, and it's a big triple to Red Rock, and that's just at over 3.9 billion visits, and not even a full year doing now. Thousands of times, this game is currently averaging around 200 to 400,000 active players. But here's the problem, and now the numbers starting to fall rapidly, going from 200 to 400,000 to now 70 to 80,000, around a 50% drop in players, and now the risk is players from the default now. When similar happens, what has to play? First you build a similar aren't aware, this is a robot skin with you fish. You see a better fish, fishing rods, on a new location, or start playing this game recently for a little while. Like a few weeks ago. Do you know why the game is called that? Well, people just got bored of playing it. Let's play it a good point. And users usually keep wanting to get better. I like to play got bored and tired. They stop playing. Also, when a game goes a style, there's going to be a ton of people who say, what did you guys about? And if you don't enjoy it, you just forget about it and move on. However, if there's another major problem of how the game is defined, so let's investigate a deeper define it too. This could create a reasonable, you guys robot fighting 2015. There's lots of your kind of games 2020, but all these were eventually cancer or third to play now. Game after game, failure after failure, so pushing every time the developers coming to an end. However, the games that are game do very well for high bar, with over 680,000 visits. Even though the team is huge, the games are cancer working on it. So you really generate their game for money over their kind of fix. A lot of these versions passion purpose for players, and if you didn't enjoy it anymore, no matter how popular it was, you moved on. And that's exactly how first started in 2024. It was a passion project, and you independently did every aspect of the game, building, scripting, modeling, everything. His work now is coded, not only part of the NXT life forever, as I've mentioned, it launched on October 5th, 2024, and exploded in popularity, nesting at over 2.9 billion visits. The dev Lucy May have made it. The game is thinking over robot at a speed never seen before. But just after a month of release, they had tough decisions to make, and these decisions ultimately caused a downfall of the game. Lucy May was approached by Doomsday Studios to partner with it, and Master Studio wrote a front office, and they paid a bunch of development of the game. However, they tabled the development of the game, or really they would do more of a side project. We do need to either take a bunch of decisions partner with us, or continue sailing. And since the game was so popular so quickly, they decided to partner with us for the game. This concerned the community. People could notice their partnering with me, building them, making it to the win. And we really encourage everyone that this is going to happen. But sadly, we're supposed to improve. Private people can ask for TV storage within the game. You start adding walkthroughs, and then adding bundles with they even pay for walkthroughs, and even add additional features so people can buy it multiple times and choose to walk through that more. Even add a link to skins, loot boxes, and so much more. The game will fill it later with access and microtransactions. This goes along with price release. They also made the game more technical for us since with the boost and such, something felt rare or special anymore. These players who aren't aware of the new big takeover recognize it. This is it. Do you think the new owners are willing to pay? Well, I didn't know there were new owners. Overall, I feel like I think this is the game for the marketing. Even though it's performing well, this is a downward versus one player. The free gaming will only be played with a bit over time. Right now, you will start gaming videos but it will fully download over time. It was has been 120,000 players and now only 25,000 players. This is typically lower than the front. I think this file process has files, well, it has a bunch to happen. Why do you guys think this game is selling? Don't know. The game is good. The overall players themselves are different to it too. Most people focus on themselves well. Why is this game selling? I don't know. I connected to deeper to see why it's being affiliated with players. Everybody wants to make 2023 that touch and follow their video. First time Roblox back in 2016, and Beta all back in 2012. Both seem to be working on the product for years, but this is huge. Eventually, the team was here when we used video. Someone who changed their lives forever. And the first time we can't work to avoid that. I think people game and it's players pick about each other. Maybe reacting the rest of the time. They probably dying lots of time to win. There was a different gamers with their screens. We already want to get into every 2023. Here's the prize. It's totally only in the dollar. Players are going to already made a frequency to a new visits. And here's the time graph for players. If you get a frequency in Roblox history, here's 1 billion visits. It'll take around 50 days. By the time you know it, it'll be less and less popular. And I'll start the game more and more hate. What happened? Well, the team was the same thing as last year. Once again, the team was owned by Google big preview. And they decided to give it a group. But this time really was. Good place for crazy odds, limited streams, gambling, and so much more. It was your own group. They didn't come to another game. If you didn't play it, you have to learn something more than drama. But people thought the game slowed down. Hopefully in general, the gameplay is simply the same thing over and over again. The only thing changes to make the game very good. Once you're probably on board as well. Rip. Roblox has been popular for a while, but next door is a very recent name of our dial. High school was also on Robert Levin's Playground School, and the school is online. That's seen almost 850 million visits. The thing most people are being launched by already popular games to real estate games. For grand customers to another popular game. Speaking of which, this can use the same action system and text system for custom orders, but in an origin boom style format. You keep on trying to better with some real help. It's also worth upgrades and much more. In other daily games on the test, they even bind to the Canadian element. We know this because they think pushing known for doing this, doesn't already expected it. Pushing nowadays drive it down. Well, if you look into it, I'm actually part of the game now. You play quick stations for stuff. Yeah. Have you noticed the game value? Not that much people are saying. Why do you think it's selling? Well, since there's pet similar to users in high school, there's going to be more players in those who use it still. It's been very good for us. Let's go to another edition of the Pet Simulator franchise. So because of that, other players from Pet Simulator probably think this game. And when you eventually are bored or feel like a new game, you are back to Pet Simulator. We didn't follow Pet Simulator and Busy and Buzz. It's all the kind of special things. While our early players probably decided to see what the hype about. However, we didn't explain why it's keep playing, and all we're getting is strong audience. So I told the players responding on this conversation, why do you think this game is starting to do this? Yes. That actually came Pet Simulator 99. This is pretty great. The initial goal started to keep the screen with hype about and moving. The goal to like the game and kept playing. However, what they started going up to people in game share along, so they kept moving as well. Other players were focused on it as well. Have you noticed the recent players? Where would you suffer? Why do you think it's starting? I think the same happens. But it's something that always works and it's so stimulating to see how. So why would people care? But also to think that updates were rumor and not a big model game. But if you investigate research, you get no major reason. This game kind of came out of nowhere and legit line for 13 years. 50 years for doing this original game around this stuff. That's what they've been doing. But this game was kind of a spin-off. I was thinking, it's technically a version of the RNG game. Original Ian at RNG. This game was most likely launched back live on the version of the RNG game. This is called RNG. Back on the time they made this game. This one was played live down quickly. Then it was particularly bad with friends, and now you can imagine buying it. I put it notices as well. Do you think it was just popularity, right? Yeah, for sure. Stores is going crazy. That's why I play this game because I enjoy RNG games. So you only play because you enjoy RNG games. I still enjoy the marketplace, but I don't really play the main games. It's sure architecture is playing while some players stuck around. I also spent so much time talking that we still don't play it isn't as if you don't break home anymore. To be fair, it's still very early. We're still adding better updates. It's still a viable game. The same thing is it for our next game though. Everybody on the bike is down over 1.5 billion village and people are robots in Iran. Things such a festival game. There's now everybody on the bike for just about everything. It doesn't have to always comment that we sit on Roblox. I didn't make shit to it, and it's simple and fun. There's already 60 to 80,000 active players across their team now, but now I only average around 5,000 players. However, 90% decrease. How did you miss out on this photo from through the photo system? At first, no one even talked to me since everybody was focused on the game. But we left the time for our own video, how long have you been playing? I've been playing since World 3 and stopped at World 15 nothing. Why do you think this game is dying out? It's pretty much the same thing as what Mozart didn't care. Did you think because you got there? Yeah, but things like all players are bored and moved on. It's just the same thing over and over again. You do have your world and mode, but it's still the same stuff. It's just an obvious. At least your world and mode is a big difference with it. But they really haven't been doing that. Also, things being going viral, there's a lot of competition. But also, it makes you feel other games start since you guys have been doing it hard. Maybe that's being not good enough. I mean, they were doing it one at practice. I see. This stuff is part of it. Yeah. And like I said, we were adding a lot of stuff, but it was just more of the same. Being up to repetitive all the time. Well, I want to put the hype and stuff, but over time, it's not feeling like that. Do you think this game is? Well, I don't see it coming back. But if they have something else to do, maybe it would have a spot. They also say that most players don't think the game will come out. We don't want to see it dying out, but I just gave me a couple of things. And history is very confusing. The very early games is this I knew. We also August 14, 2023. That has to also work on it with podcast. You mentioned that DJ Studio will also play with podcast. Now here's the weird part. I didn't know everything to associate, and we not only met those groups, but anyway. And DJ Studio doesn't even have a game posted on the website. It was actually been doing it so early on in 15. So aside from that, the team was a huge viral hit online. Just less than a month after launch, they already hit over 100,000 players. But eventually going to get over 1.5 billion viewers. The video made it back, it was still moving great over time, and since kind of died out. The story was very ending, but eventually even weirder and crazier. Because we're talking about Rainbow Friends. It's over 4.2 billion viewers playing and buying it over time. This is their story. After building the 200 rocket and getting over 100,000 viewers, the project turned out and exploded. By later that year, it hit 1 billion viewers and 100,000 active players. And speaking of the Roblox, it seems like the entire world. Every response to this game is one of the most viral Roblox games we've ever seen. We got Roblox and some Rainbow Friends. We have YouTube and some Rainbow Friends. He earned search and happy was seen as Rainbow Friends. But over time, it became less out and started getting less and less players. How did it get browsed after that? Well, let's hop in and see what happened. How long did you play? There's chapter 1. What happened to the game? There's chapter 2. And no chapter 3. It's chapter 2. Yeah. Listen to the answer. It's pretty well known now that for some reason this game was kind of abandoned. The main purpose of this game was chapter, as the person mentioned. Last chapter was released on June 7th, 2023. It's been a long time. Why would they ban the game by just file? Well, due to the owner's history, the act is unfair. The only game violence is right transferred. We did Roblox all the back files on there. And the history is crazy. Last chapter is guaranteed the biggest commercial part of Roblox including Rainbow Friends. It's actually a binary project, no matter how big you are. The first big game was Rainbow Prisons, with over 300 million viewers. Then we moved on to Maker Valley, with over 190 million viewers. This is already running crazy enough. The buy rate only gets crazier. Being the absolute film spider, the 47th most visited Roblox game of all time, with over 2.6 billion visits. Trying out author machines while I were there, we died on that. A good spider that hasn't updated in years. Now, I even confirmed my Rainbow Friends isn't going to update. Eventually working on a new chapter, but the spirit right chapter is still to move on. Even being just feeling the village. How we look at though, all the direction of birth is fading. There is time to lose hope. Do you think everyone else that way? Yeah, I think so. Maybe students is a bias for it. Acquisition of Bangladesh game, following buyouts into loss and new contracts, and that's what's currently happening for Windows fans. Those trades are crazy, but the next one is even more wild. Well, there's more robot teams that are dying. A dozen triple launch other companies for it, and we all predict me. Start off slow, but Korea survived. The 2019 was going viral. So we started to gain some traction. It started getting to 2,000 active, then 10,000, and eventually it's averaging around 50 to 100,000 active players. Now sitting at over 1.6 billion visitors each over a year. This can triple the Roblox, but that won't last for long. And every month, the game will start losing more and more players. And averaging around 50 to 100,000, 1,000, 10,000. Only 80% decrease. To understand what happened, let's ask the players. First people, you are aware, but every triple the game which your objective is to make that star possible. You spawn in another car, and grab for as long as you can to encounter obstacles and buildings on your journey. Let's be clear. 2 years. Oh, round so since the start. Pretty much, yeah. Have you noticed the daily losing players? Yeah. Okay. Everything costs money. So as soon as we were doing adding a bunch of monetization, they got sick of it and left. Let's investigate deeper to find the truth. This game was created by Dixie and wants us another developers. We are founded another game called The Long Drive, and I'm doing 5 relationships. We had launched with the TikTok, we didn't already have an audience, and it ended blowing up from this point on. This was the first real big breakthrough, so it was still long for everyone involved. But it wouldn't last for much longer. This after month, the developer made a huge mistake. Spencer explains the game's downfall. We were approached by another popular developer, Jandel, who wanted to buy the game for $20,000. This was like taking money to the developer. This was for our young and experienced, we accepted the offer. He didn't have a way of receiving the money though, so we agreed on 5 million Robux instead. The developers are on top of the world. They were viral doing a really for life meaning money. And sadly, the developers are on for getting this. This after a few months after Jandel took over, the game really started going viral. Jandel knows a lot, and you're very on the project. Again, like years and much more. However, Danny also also heavily monetized the game, adding into skins, loot boxes, and much more. First offers later and these really big. Every saw third organizers and financials. Everything has stress for the game because popular things got ruined. The reason they also say were getting selling it. Firstly, the developers actually lost all their money. Can't think that this experience they had to advertise more and more back. Not only did he get started viral games, they lost all the money with it as well. They didn't even notice that TikTok saying they were better than saving and missed the game. On a brighter note, we always say we say our game, so we get full of motivation to try again. Only time is not getting more of the game. Overall, the game's happened a while in the past. The games get bought and ruined by the new owners. This is a good example of this. The players are sick of all the favorite elements, so we stop playing. And that game is dying out. Another reason for me to game getting repetitive. There's a method to keep playing to try to get high skill. Once we hard enough, we don't think we want to do it anymore. The player coaches confirm this. Are you sad to see it finally or did you expect it? I thought it was nice to put money into the game is still fun. They added a map, they made it more trying to make the game feel more fresh graphics. They gave it the way, plus it never really changes. So maybe they're probably got bored and left in combination without any monetization. Sadly too, it seems like there's little hope for this game. This game is feedback. Probably not. Who knows what this week's coming out? This could have been another chance to lose them. We were already popular with this game. I don't know if I would move. However, we attract an audience who plays who got bored, waiting instead. We can offer something new and fresh. A pretty crazy story, but our next story is even crazier. Because we're talking about bad news. This is over 10.4 billion visits, but it's been so down over time with losing players. Players were around 30,000 to now averaging around 20,000. On a 50 to 70% decrease. Everything in this big and popular buyout, well, never for us to see what happened. Everybody was doing this is spending about for players. The goals of the story have nothing better than do the last spending. You can upgrade, fix for different game modes and much more. You can claim both ways for years. Yeah. Have you noticed the losing players over time? Yeah. What's happening? Plus it's getting repetitive. It's quite a good point. It's been around for a few years now. Despite different game modes, fix and more, also that the game never really changes. So assuming over time more and more people just got bored and moved on, let's investigate a deeper truth for another reason. This game was made by the EW Boost Studio back in 2021. Early on in the beta release, the game already had some hype, having over 10,000 players already getting over 300,000 hits. The game heavily flashed in my time, Minecraft mini games called February, and since this was a new station along with a new gameplay, it got a large audience to remember the Minecraft version. From this point on, the game exploded and took over Roblox. It's a nice most visited game on all of Roblox. But despite going into one of the biggest games on Roblox, it's been losing more and more players every year. The only reason could be records. It's been better for a free period, but the version I found is still bigger than before. But you know, not kidding. Overall, I think that over time, people just let go due to how competitive it is and move on. Even with new stuff, there's also been a same point over and over again. And after probably a hard enough to open the college to program, this seems like it's a fun fun base, but our next game emphasis is trading on them. World Higher card game that was a 10 billion minutes. But the years paid by now, this is used to everywhere, but it's not just a few. Those are average heading to 100,000 days now, actually around 5,000. Over 90%. But it gets worse. The business you get finalized from the good life as usual, but now it's the life is getting more business a month every day. The life potential is rapidly dropping. They're not only looking for a down right, but the community also seems to be turning on the game. What is the algo around for a high? Let's see if it does have the answer. Okay. Thank you. I don't really play that, but I joined it. Have you noticed the game dying of it? Yeah, since I saw videos of the controversy. What's it about? It was probably trying to convoluted stuff or convoluted values. Well, it seems like it is an involvement from a drama. That's exactly the point of food. Well, I would get a funny job with them, though, I would have them. Early on, the launch of mining games that showed no possible development. Overall, though, they didn't take 5 or 6 years, and not how high again. It would take 10 years to keep going, then to work and launch real high. Then only to change their lives forever. They would explode on launch. There's 1 million artists, 100,000 active players, and over 200 million minutes. Even though it's just a local game, we're seeking new population that more than Roblox will have. So really stood out, the developers on top of the world, and go how it goes to become one of the biggest Roblox games ever made, putting over 10 billion minutes. The first few years, everything was great, but over time, the game started dying, and now it's moved up to most of its audience. As I said, mentioned, the game was not dominated in its community. One of the biggest selling points was when you move the happy to a flash in the game. If you don't know, get back to the YouTubers. However, creators found a waiting spot for things having the game. The thing is fun out, all the YouTubers and both quit and go to another game that just went fast. They just played lots of games getting a bunch of hate and dislikes. If you give YouTube and the community poorly, your team starts turning on them. What is more, the live stream has over 90% of players. This YouTuber here is saying that a lot of the updates are focusing on making the game look better, but gameplay. So the updates really make the game more fun. We also now have our stuff going forward, and can't wait for new players to do that. So we don't do that updates, drama, of course, but the really cool thing is the community towards themselves. Very different by necessarily giving play rules. Because that one time biggest game on Roblox was Donos. A local game where you can talk about players, pets, trade, customize your home, and much more. This game is over 39.5 million visits, but it's just a reason I've been playing over time. Honestly, averaging over 100,000 people in players, and now around 50,000. Still doing the work, but every year losing more players, and in general, just talking about less in the Roblox city. Also, lots of far the biggest game on Roblox, so it's better. Have a great game, mate. Let's see what the players have to say. I'm going to do this game with that. It's here. You notice the game losing players over time. Yeah, kinda. What's that? I honestly don't know. Well, one player recognized the game hasn't died over time, but don't really know what went wrong. So I asked some other players to rate their answers, and I'm going to be playing with that. About 2 years. Have you noticed the boost players over the years? Yeah, lots. Why? What's happened? People get scammed a lot, so they stop playing. Oh, it seems like a Bobby the major scamming issue. Raise the money for his quitting. Let's investigate. It's all set to the creator new issue. He joined Roblox all the time in January 2011. For the first 2 years so far, they also started releasing games. They launched game after game, however, most projects failed. Some did well, but overall, he didn't have a big Roblox game that failed. And he was dealing after the next few years, but 2016 was what started to shift. He had his first big hit in Hiow, and the next year he managed to run. Then they were developer, Beacon, started working on Donos. Not knowing this changed their lives forever. In just a few months, the game had exploded in popularity, getting over 10,000 times the active players, getting over 70 million visits. A year later, it hit over 550 million visits. Every year, the game gets more bigger and bigger. Already bigger after its entry for doing that stuff. And eventually became the biggest thing on Roblox. 2020 was expensive, but it was the biggest thing. It would always have over 400,000 active users. It was breaking records, breaking roadblocks, and non-stoppable. But from this point on, every year, the game started losing more and more players. Once the player cycle through, only doesn't have a huge scamming problem, it's always hard off. But also, it seems like over time, people got bored and moved on. The only thing that really became important, I don't know. The game is really testing on faith. Every single person going is so low to happen. All it's just trading. And then the family issue see why some of these players leave. Also, due to rising popularity, many people really became attached to it and still famous. People got bored, scammed, or told they almost seemed to lose players. And that seems another market game of lost popularity. Consider this story. A game with over 6.5 billion players but has been losing players over time. It went from averaging 15 to 70,000 active players constantly. Now, at 15,000 players, around an 80% decrease. That's pretty good hard to say, but we've been playing boards for a while. Have you noticed the losing players? Yeah. What happened to the game? Okay. Did it get boring over time? Yeah. I stopped playing. Richards for love list. Those along 2021 by two developers, Uncraft and Edible. The four doors, we both team up to make Lando Universe. The first hit together as a game total of 46 million bullets. We both still do what we're doing, and once we realize we work well together, we do all these things to create and launch stores. We were always suggest for developers, but we think I'm both bigger than we could ever imagine. Right away, we begin to thank you to how easy it was, and instead of spiral, in only 2021, by the end of 2022, a year later, we already gave over 1 billion dollars and have around 3 to 100,000 players. First, we all know there's a huge problem. See, most solo stages is big, having tight team of developers with them. But there is only around 3 developers handling everything. At the start, it's just a few main developers doing everything. Third, we started to keep up with the demand, and we reached our dying we couldn't bring that upward quickly. Instead, we continued to where we are now. We're still barely have many new developers. It takes a long time to lose new developers. And since the game time has switched to focus further, people got bored and moved on. To be fair, the thing does always happen when you eventually do upgrade, but it's in the process of buying things and right back and buying again since the next upgrade takes a while. Also, since we totally get on new developers from the roots of their own power, still keep everyone moved. Those who have just like to hype develop from that. We also need to do less out there real quick since people are tired of waiting, and we got to give it into release we already start caring about the game. If you thought those stories were crazy, we're only getting started. Up next, I scored the most hated Roblox game. World Garden was launched in March 2025 and exploded in popularity right away. Just after a month, it passed over 1 billion visits and became the fastest game to do so. And now it's at almost 11 billion visits. In less than 100 days, it's already the top people Roblox game with however, after the test also drawn a ton of drama as haters. They think every new passenger game, the cause of fun and hating in the game and the developers behind it. Because they never post anything, even unrelated to World Garden, they get a bunch of hate. Some people post for a while hating on the game, and large community out there who care everything the game does. But why? Why is this game so controversial? Let me show what happened. A lot of people might figure it down to ask the players. First, you go to your unaware, World Garden is a game in which well is World Garden. You can get better feeds and tools, advanced communication on the top, making it more expensive and more. The goal is to get the best and most expensive crops. How did you find this game? Big top. You enjoy it? Yeah. Why is this game so good? Because you do nothing and wait for seats to restock. It's clearly a good point. There's even a limit on the amount of seats you can buy, and you can never restock. But if it doesn't restock, you leave a card out waiting around doing nothing. Which can be frustrating, especially for new players. But there's a ton of other reasons for this that other players told me about. Scammers. Because it's okay. Some people think it's real. Quite always reason, all people are also confused. You heard why this game has so many haters. I think it's because I can work it. So let's investigate deeper to find its true answer. This is the original player, BMW Lux, made alongside an asset brand down. We're going to reject the success. Because these two developers before World Garden already have billions of visits. BMW Lux's game studios have over 560 million visits. They support a ton of viral games. And Ganda owns and is a part of popular games such as Perfect Z, Adventure Show for Wacky Wave, and so much more. These guys clearly knew what they were doing. They combined everything you both knew and created World Garden, and took over the entire world. In just a few months, not only is World Garden becoming the biggest game on Roblox, but it's officially the biggest game in the world, and it beat the highest player record ever, previously held by Fortnite. Developers are on top of the world, but with this much attention, they have targeted a ton of haters, and the game has become controversial. As Kurt mentioned, games fail for a ton of reasons. First reason, due to the toxic breaking player record, there are toxic community. Outside the season of Garden, food by hacking and $5 box servers. They can't go right as anything, but only trying to comment saying the game is started. So what's the truth? Well, the game is started to an extent. We don't know how much of the third channel is started, so you can find Android box servers. However, it doesn't seem to be the developer doing this like many free. Firstly, the rundown box is already super expensive and unrealistic to do. Secondly, a lot of these are run by people who sell the items. People on eBay, you see people find the items and sell them. This item here was over $1,000. They see over $10,000 on items. This is why people have bought in servers. But still, people who believe the developers can be behind this, due to the fact that prices they were free, and now we can't tell whether water or not since we can't see them. Ultimately, there's no clear answer. People will forever call them out until it's proven otherwise. Second major reason people hate us is the simplicity. Many people hate World Garden saying it has no effort and exclusivity. The thing was made to serve past kids. But with it being so simple, many think it doesn't deserve the success. Now the Roblox game killed Donos instead, which leads me to the third reason, being that people hate the game for it being a cash grab. This game's heavy monetization and some halo element, like games to grow our costs, games for a season start, and also event cosmetics and loot boxes with seed packs. And many people pay their rent for this, as the big game is designed to exploit as much money as people have to. Overall, naturally something this popular, people will hate. And even though folks were not hating on the game, since the game is so popular, it only lets a small amount of the audience. Maybe it's frustrating, however, most of them didn't even know the game was bad. But who knew about it? Now, I do know why this game is so popular. Now, why do people hate on this game? I don't know. Do you know why so many people hate this game? No, I do not. Do you know why this game is so good? If you know this is crazy, why is it more competition on the video goes on? Because next we're talking about your brain rot. I do know it's taking over Roblox right now with over 1.3 billion minutes. So it was over a month ago, now it keeps it over 1 billion percent players. It is the second most popular game right now, only behind Girls Garden. Once again though, traffic has kept growing on the haters. Every day a popular posts are made hating on the game. It also has 40% dislikes. These are only reasons to have on credit. It's pretty simple. So you get better when different brain rot players once you run through, and your job is for them. So I was first to intervene until it come you and your day. Over time, characters are monitored to the new and powerful play. The whole objective your goal is to limit and escape from you. Schedule this game. My friend, are you aware of all the hates around you? Why do you say me? Overall, it seems like the player knows hated, but doesn't exactly know why. Let's run some more and see if anyone had any reason. Who wants so many people hate this? Because it has brain rot. You know what I mean? It's very good point. It seems very greatly on the audience, and apparently the majority of Roblox players are people who are available. They should explain all the hate about themselves. Wait, why do I actually have a voice? I'm not supposed to be having that. This is a trailer. Other time is thank you, Bill Scarabee. Thank you. It's really really want to do for it. One of the first hits of 50 power points, people like 26 million visits. So we don't put on data. They have a popular game, but it's really not for long. For another reason, the game was taken down. Later, the developer wants more games that build upon the base of special power defense. And in addition, by the time the developer was over, but by around 2025, we went through a brain rot, which pushed over Roblox and exploded popularity on the web. It's over a month, and the game was posted to around 150 is that the popularity of events like competition. Let's see, what the first ever proves. All of those are times that Daniel I admit and being just no effort. Look at life visiting in Real Garden. Many are angry since the kids are Roblox games are getting worse over time. And people hate the game as it feels more effort into the cash grab. Speaking of Real Garden, another reason to stay with it is because after the kids go items in Real Garden. Real Garden has similar look. Real Garden has a pretty feature before, and has similar more fancy features similar to Real Garden. Overall, the game of Real Garden can't bring out super controversial, but it's too sides for it. One side of people hating it, and overall no license for the game and still is no effort. I think Roblox is getting worse over time, it's great game for this to life. To make it worse, there's a new keep popping up which makes it linear. The bad side of it is only a fail. Only everybody thinks the game is fun, which is why we think it's so popular with so many haters. Our next game, however, is way more controversial. Because we're talking about the hype, it's over 2.7 billion visits, so it's one of the most controversial games on Roblox. The game is probably like this adventure are controversial only. For why? The game is just a popular for why it's a hater. Let's go and see what the happens. If you're unaware, the hood is a Roblox game in a down environment. And it's a Microsoft. Well, now, the game is very effective. And it could be played as impossible. This is what happened when a tiny transforms are introduced. Only today, so. Then I was taught by other players, and the person interviewing Dolly to safety are usually about it. This is a big thing. This is like that was it. Again, another player kidnapped me. The other player shot their game again. This happened constantly. I was like talking to someone, and people were telling way than hard time. But, finally I lost an answer. I managed to even play this game. Yeah, this skill feature wasn't working out. That's when someone else came in, and I didn't play a game. So I tried interviewing them both. It started with me being friends, and I wanted to be. I thought it's done, so don't try anything. Who's wrong here? Who's 5 years? Are you guys aware of all of it? Yeah, why is this game so good? Kinda, game game. What do you mean? This is the oldest thing of it. It's toxic, it's weird to me. So as soon as the community-based game is toxic, which is why it's so hated, let's investigate see what's your answer. This is the owner, Tanaka. He said Roblox always magnifying him. They're part of a common problem, and part of the game launched her, which would blow up. We even had people at the time for a reaction, because we started getting really ridiculous names of power. By the end of the year, there was over 200 million visits. There were times, and now it's at over 2.7 billion visits. But there's a huge problem. The league wasn't able to maintain the public trust over the years, and every year started losing more and more players. Going from averaging around 20,000 players to now around 5,000. What went wrong? Well, what the player said was true. The community for the school was super toxic, and they're also known to bypass a lot with big audio. Most people deem this one of the most toxic Roblox games they ever played. A lot of these comments were made early on when the game was starting to blow up, so it seems to just keep getting worse every year. The games were becoming a super hated and controversial thing. Also hated, but there's a small audience of people who actually enjoy the playoffs. This game is super hated, but will only be more controversial as the video goes on. Up next is Soda Energy, which sold over 1.2 billion units. This is good for the Roblox anyone, but even at launch, it was super controversial. Started hating the game on the concept. Why do people start hating on the world? I'm trying to super players now. This game is very simple. The main concept is your first to go and try to get better at faster. I'm going to be good playing saves or why do so many people hate this game? It's because they get such a so young. So it seems like we are honestly comfortable with this game, some people hate it. This game is entirely not for and I'm having a lot of grinding with it. Now, therefore, the court will confirm this. Are you aware about it? Yeah. Okay. Some of my friends hate it. Once again, another price of the RNG concept of the game is why I played it. If you aren't aware, RNG stands for random number generator, which is essentially what this game is, but instead, the numbers represent errors you collect. Let's investigate deeper into this for truth. This is Hiow. This is for XYZ. We read Roblox Project 2017, and prior to RNG, we don't really have a popular Roblox game, but also seems to go for international marketing projects. So we do not play RNG in 2023. We didn't know this would change our lives forever. This game took over Roblox. Sometimes actually getting over 100,000 players and getting millions of hits. These developers are on top of the world, but ever since this game started getting attention, it has a large audience of haters, so it seems to be a few major reasons after a while. The first reason is what the player said. A lot of people hate the concept of this game. In fact, many people don't even consider it a game. There's all these weird things that until the bottom, or in most cases, even the game from there. The reason it isn't so popular, this is so controversial due to its lack of footprint. And many people don't understand why it's popular and why so many people play it. And because of the concept, all people can't stand playing the game for that long. While another reason this game is controversial is that people think it's encouraging gambling for kids. Now, technically even gambling since you aren't spending money. But many feel as if play games like an endless slot machine. People just there for hours, rolling and rolling, hoping to get better and better auras. But many people exposing kids to the concept of gambling, and many think the game is exporting players. Overall, the concept of this game is the main reason for the controversy. People don't think it's that big of a deal and love it, but also think it's really bad and hate it. And also think it's dangerous for kids. Our next thing is even more controversial right now. Because exploitation, a game that's going viral right now is amassed over 1 billion visits, but there always seems to be constant growth joining the gamer's community. To find out why, I'm going to ask the players. The main concept of this game is one player is killed, and the rest of the players have to try and survive by fighting with other generators. This game is very hectic, and no matter how far I try, for some reason, literally no one wanted to talk to me. Instead, I really wanted to start taking time games. You are too for taking time to I do hear that all the hate surrounding Satan. Yeah, so, what's going on? I don't know, all I know is that some people hate it. Maybe about the retro slot. Retro slot. Well, I don't know what retro slot is. So it seems like they're all over the game being hated, but we haven't quite know why. And apparently, somebody threw a retro slot, so let's see to find the answer. Now, this whole game is very weird. The original players were Soldier Manel and Beardbug, and this is where the controversy starts. Because the Soldier Manel got called out and exposed, and after doing a bunch of horrible things, it's causing to leave the game and transfer ownership over to Fraser and Coco. But then, out of nowhere, they'll sold the game to another new owner. So this period of time was really confusing what was going on and who was going to own it. But finally, it seemed like Coco and Beardbug are controlling it. Already, the developers had a bunch of controversy, but there's even more when it comes to the game itself. A lot of that hate seems to stem from the community, many calling it very toxic. A lot of people actually like the game, but they would hate it. Particular problems with the community, the things not catered for the game, seems like the community brings on the reputation. Another kind of drama is the record cosplaying like this tournament. If you're unaware of what this means, basically the player's cosplay is like an old ruining by not being popular or using the wrong items. These items are taken to 24/7 players have been doing it, because the players haven't been as well as for seeing players sponsors going after these items. In general, it's a very weird problem if they're going viral. The only expert controversy is for people to do. They can go through a basic game only pages the video goes on because next I put more abandoned Roblox games. There's a list of launch back in May 2014 by the developer Ascenical. The first year was pretty quiet, but 2015 is when it really started to take off. And no one knew at the time this game would change Roblox forever. According to the Intercom page, according to the Q underscore, in this point on, the game would explode in popularity. The developers kept updating it, fixing problems, and adding new stuff and kept learning boosts. According to the team, it reached over 1 billion visits, and now sits at 2.5 billion visits. But every year, the game seems to be updated less and less, and eventually it reached a point where it was abandoned, causing it to lose most of its audience. What happened? Why would a developer abandon a game this bad? To understand what happened, I logged into my secret account to investigate and interview the players. Here's a look at this very simple game. There's criminals and cops. The goal is for the criminals to escape after the cops are trying to stop them. There's also much more to do after escaping, such as getting cars, helping others escape, and much more. Early on, there's already a huge problem. This game has so much exploiters in it, it was almost impossible to do anything. Eventually, I found someone to interview, but it didn't go as expected. This is not my name. I would say I played it for like 1 year on my name. I'm not really aware of this account. And before he could answer, an exploiter out of nowhere found me. Still gave me the answer after. There was no updates at all in 2008. So it seems like the developers stopped updating the game 3 years ago, and because of that, the exploiter issues are real. Every player is supposed to give us a real answer, and how long did you consume this thing? A long time. Why did you get abandoned? He wants to enjoy his life and that's just ruined it. Yeah, he's got too much to look at. It's hard to find the service. But it seems like the exploit issue got so bad that they just moved on. Not only from the game, but Roblox in general. Let's investigate deeper to see if this is a true answer. But being an example, from Roblox back in early 2014, Prison Life developed just 5 months after, and it's really one of the only games made during this time on Roblox. During the future of this game, we had talked about making another game, but it never happened. Martin Prison Life, the life changed forever, and the game started taking over Roblox. However, by 2017, thanks to this, the game has been updated a lot. And eventually, over time, the developer abandoned the project. Why? Well, what the player said was true. It seems that this uses want to enjoy his life. The whole description for the game mentions how he started university in 2017, which is why he couldn't spend much time on the game. So the developer spent all the time in life. No one plays Mario off the actual Roblox anymore. And now, the developer just comes along and there to push the riches, but we're just focusing on life outside of Roblox. Overall, the developer abandoning the game was not more players. Let's escape and die out. I say gaming, but our next story is even crazier. Another elevator was launched back in April 2018 by developer Mounted Apollo Squid. Early the game launched, it was instant. 4 months later, it already had millions of visits and was being updated constantly. The developer was top of the world, but this is only the start, and the game would blow up from this point on. 5 years later, it had 24 million visits, and next year, getting almost 100 million visits. It was growing at a rapid speed, and was going to get 544 million visits over time. This developer had everything, but 9 months ago, we didn't really know about him. The developer randomly made the game unpopular, which now means anyone can download the entire game and do whatever they want with it. And instead of mark the end of the game, as a developer abandoned it from this point on. What went wrong? Why would a developer just abandon the game and let anyone take it? Well, a few players have an answer. First, you know, if you aren't aware, in this game, everyone's put in an elevator, and every round is halfway to a new floor. Each floor is different scenarios, mini games, and much more. How long have you been playing this game? What happened to it? Exactly. Why did the game stop? I don't know. Many players know the game was abandoned, but don't exactly know why they got forbid it. Other players are focused on the same thing. Okay. Maybe 2 years. Why did the game abandon? Honestly, who knows? The thing I realized is that most of the people I'm playing are people who've already been playing for close to years. Sorry to speak, it's why they abandoned. And it seems like most of them still play as they miss the time period. The only good memories they had with it. It's sad to see the memory. Kind of. Yeah, players miss the game. And you can tell that from the game, and don't know what happened. Let's investigate deeper and see what the true answer is. The developer now did a Harlem Shake, started Roblox older back in 2013. Right away he started creating a ton of games, but it's clearly long development. However, many of these games don't take off. He has game after game, and the site works so great. One understand now, that being in normal cities, it can get over 1 million views. Look at popularity, you can see the normal cities. Next year must be the normal elevator. Let's go viral. That's usually how you get the possible at the time. And once you start taking the game seriously, it will change your life forever. But it wouldn't last forever. A few months ago, he abandoned the game along with making it popular. Obviously, not. One of the reasons
You gotta be marketing yourself
tech players also do a Roblox or audio update. Around this time, Roblox changed the audio forever, making all audio down in a split second private due to copyright issues, which ruined a lot of old and classic games, including the normal elevator. It is a game with every level allowing for craziness. The game replaces the audio, which is a core part of the game, but it did not ruin due to the new Roblox update. But it seems like due to the audio issue and in general the game getting old, it moved on, giving give the game away so others can learn. The Masters had another battle game, boxing battles, over 370 million visits. Really though, there's three seasons on them, but the game is working on other genres and keep finding success. A good ending for the same chemical for the next story. Super Blue Star was launched back in April 2019 by developers Polyx and Blue Tree Club. It's based on the concept breakdown of Blue Star, covered back in the early days of Roblox. The game is about being the lost and stranding, and doing this by restoring everyone to spawn codes and killing them. Super Blue Star was a redesigned version of the classic game for the modern Roblox market, and it blew up. In just a few months, by the end of the year, it had millions of visits, thousands of active players. The game will continue growing as we spun on and kept updating it, now having over 250 million visits. But despite the success, let's try to learn something. Every year, the developers are updating less and less. This is shows how many general updates there are every year. First few years, we updated it a ton, but things have been and now the last person update was back in 2022, and the game hasn't been taken for. Find out what happened, I spoken to active players. Right away, it was a huge problem. There's no time to relax in this game, and it's very fast paced. When somebody finds someone to talk to, and someone's on this player. As he friended me, and invited me to another game so I could interview them. Oh yeah, because you've been playing super good stuff. Oh, well, have you noticed the game that it has? Yeah. Why? What happened? The owner is focused on another game. It's true. Someone stuck with something. But there's no option. It seems like the developer moved on from this project to focus on another game. And sadly, even though it's been a while, I don't know what their update team is pushing next to game. I just sad to see the game. If we investigate deeper, what the first said was true. One of the creators following us, who were working on another project in 2021 called Find Everything, but the thing is why officially slowing down until this thing is still a work in progress, so we're still creating about it and seems to be the main focus. Sadly, this is the outcome moving on. First man is a new player who been playing the game for years, but who the update and bring the game back. He's also due to a game abandoned, second one dropped heavily. So this is crazy. Our next team is billions of visits and we're abandoned. The game is ending with over 2.2 billion visits. The story is pretty crazy. There are such owners and both owners abandoned it. This is the original creator, Steve Matthews, lost every first and last 2018. But even when she goes through different dumplings of varying difficulties, she's been working on upgrades, get better items, weapons, and much more. In just a few months, the game will start blowing up. We're already getting around 15,000 active players and millions of visits at any time last year. The phones are on top of the world, and every year the visits grow bigger and bigger. But next year, we're already reaching 1 billion visits. But by 2023, the developer has competition to make that will change everything. So the thing I hold up, a studio that buys and pushes a Roblox game, we really own games like Code Paper, Writing Empire, and much more. Those are going to buy and take over that stuff. This developer now has competition to make. If you haven't wasted money on a abandoned game you created and spent so many years on, or turn down the offer of family working on a game. Now, at this point, you encourage to buy all of it, so as you can get the silver first option. Sadly, if you're right, it was Golden himself abandoned this project 2 years later. Earlier this year, we announced that the team is working on other projects now, and that they're only like 1 active percent. And for this player on the side that happened, they think it's been relatively no workers anymore. We think officially this is going to move on from this project. But why do they new developers abandon it itself? Well, it seems the first have to say, how long have you been playing this game? About like a week. I really, really disappointed. It's funny, it's so high experience. Once again, I want to recommend it. Because that's just the moment of the game. A concept that will grow, even if the developers already did. Why did the devs abandon it? Well, everyone found new reasons for it. This is just the problem. This is basically interesting part. What you said is true. The game has off players and died out over time. And like you mentioned, that could be because the players getting older and losing interest. It's been around for over 6 years now. Eventually people move on.